Before we start, just a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. Only 2% are subscribed at 1,000 subscribers. I'll be posting a special video. I slide his phone out from under his hand. He twitches, fingers closing on empty air, then relaxes again. My name is Emma and I am 27, and in that second I honestly feel like a thief. Back then I told myself I was only checking one thing, one quick suspicion, then I would put it back and never do this again. I hold the phone just above the comforter, like distance makes it safer. My heart hits hard against my ribs, way louder than the tiny buzz in my hand. If he opened his eyes right then and saw me like that, hunched over him, I would have no good explanation. Now, writing this, I know I had already crossed a line, but in that moment I swore I was still the reasonable one. The screen lights up with a soft glow and shows the lock screen. A preview banner sits at the top with a contact I do not recognize. It says word for word, "I still feel you from last night," and a trail of hearts. I stare at those dots so long that the phone fades dark again, like it is embarrassed for me. He does not move, just lets out a low breath that brushes my arm. I almost put the phone back right there, like maybe if I moved fast enough I could outrun what I just read. Instead, my thumb hovers over the side button, and I wake the screen again. Seeing that text twice feels worse, like a replay I did not ask for. We have shared passcodes for months, for emergencies, his idea very casual. I repeat his numbers in my head, even though I know them by heart, as if testing myself first. There is a sick little hope that the code somehow changed and this will block me. My thumb moves on its own and taps the digits and the phone unlocks without hesitation. His home screen opens and my stomach drops because now I have no excuse. The message icon shows a tiny number in the corner, 3 unread. My brain latches onto that number like it matters, like 1 would be okay and 3 is somehow worse. I press the icon anyway, because once you decide to dig you do not stop at the surface. The conversations appear in a neat list, neat in a way my thoughts are not. My name is near the top, right where I expected, which almost calms me. Under it sits a thread with a heart next to the contact, not my heart, not my name. I tap that chat with a kind of careful rage, like any wrong movement might blow my own life up. Her messages fill the screen instantly, no introduction, no hesitation. She calls him baby and asks if he got home safe, says she loved falling asleep in your arms. The timestamp is from 2 nights ago when he told me he was stuck at a late game with friends. Seeing the exact time written there makes my throat tighten so fast I swallow nothing and almost choke. I scroll up with one finger slow, as if easing open a door in a horror movie. They talk about what they want to cook together, trips they want to take, tiny rituals that sound rehearsed. He tells her he hates leaving her in the morning, says it feels wrong to walk out of our bed. That phrase sits in my chest and just burns there heavy and ugly. My first instinct is to explain it away, because that is what you do when you are scared. Maybe she is confused, maybe he is talking about some old situation, maybe I misread the dates. I scroll further anyway, hunting for something cleaner, and all I find is more filth wrapped in affection. He sends her a selfie from our couch and calls it my favorite place with you, and my hands start shaking. A new notification rolls down from the top while I am still in her chat. Different name, also with a heart, different app. The preview shows "Did she notice anything?" followed by a laughing emoji that makes my skin crawl. For a second I forget to breathe, stuck between 2 screens and 2 versions of him. I tap the notification and another message thread jumps open. This woman calls him by the same nickname I use, which feels like someone stealing my toothbrush and pretending it is theirs. They joke about how careful they have to be about him covering his tracks, like it is some fun team sport. There is a line where he writes, "She trusts me too much," and my vision blurs for a moment. Behind me the mattress dips and he shifts onto his side. I freeze with the phone still glowing in my hand, every muscle ready to drop it and play dumb. He mutters something, pulls the blanket higher, then goes still again. The urge to shove the phone under the pillow fights with the need to keep reading, and the need wins. I lean the screen away in case even the light might wake him. My thumb moves through messages faster now, catching pieces without reading everything. Different chats, different tones, same pattern, same flirtation dressed up in unique little lies. I can feel my heartbeat in my teeth, like my whole body is trying to warn me, and I still keep going. One more thread catches my eye, not because of a heart this time, but because of the pinned star. She thanks him for finally being honest, and Dee says she understands why he cannot leave all at once. The word all hits differently, louder than the rest of the sentence. I tap her name, already knowing I will hate what I see. Back then I told myself I just needed enough proof to confront him. Now I know I was building a case, not a conversation. Finger by finger I peeled back the version of him I thought I loved, sitting inches from his sleeping body. And the worst part is that in that first night, I still thought this was going to be a single mistake. I wake before his alarm and watch him breathe beside me. My body already knows something snapped last night, even if my mouth pretends. I touch his shoulder and my hand shakes so badly I pull away. He blinks up at me, smiling like nothing in his world changed. I almost answer with the truth, then swallow it down hard. Your alarm is about to go off. My voice sounds normal, which honestly freaks me out more than anything. He yawns, wraps an arm around my waist, pulls me closer without hesitation. The same hands that typed those messages now trace lazy circles on my back. I stare over his shoulder and decide I will not confront him yet. That decision feels disgusting and strategic at the same time. If I explode now, he will deny everything and twist the story. If I wait, I can figure out exactly how far this goes. I hate that I am thinking about it like a project, not a relationship. But once you see behind the curtain, you either look away or you study. He moves around the room, humming some tune while getting dressed. I track every glance at his phone, every quick swipe across the screen. Whenever he taps out a reply, his shoulders tense just a little. I never noticed that tiny detail before, or maybe I refused to. Now it jumps out at me like a flashing sign I cannot ignore. Want breakfast later, or are you grabbing something out? He opens the fridge, casual tone, easy little half smile. Probably grab something, I answer, and my fingers dig into the counter. I used to love that simple routine question, it meant comfort. Now it sounds like a cover, a line rehearsed between other plans. While he brushes his teeth, his phone buzzes near the sink. My pulse slams again, but I pretend to look for my earrings. A banner flashes with a woman's name, not the one from last night. 3 hearts and a wink appear before the screen locks itself. He spits into the sink, wipes his mouth and pockets the phone. Everything good. He watches me over the mirror, eyes scanning my face. I shove a smile into place and nod like nothing is wrong. I'm fine, just tired, I mutter, rubbing my forehead for extra effect. He shrugs, buys the excuse, and that almost insults me more. As soon as he leaves the apartment, the silence hits hard. The door clicks behind him and I stand there completely still. Part of me expects him to burst back in and catch me snooping. He does not come back, of course, and that emptiness feels heavy. I grab my own phone instead, because his is no longer enough. I type the first unknown name into a search bar and wait. Her profile pops up with a perfect smile and curated little squares. I tap through quickly, not letting myself linger on anything flattering. She has a photo from last week captioned "Best Night Ever" with a heart. A familiar jacket sleeve appears at the edge, cropped like an accident. My chest tightens as I zoom in on the corner. You know that feeling when your brain recognizes something before you do. That jacket cuff has a worn tear near the wrist, same as his. He bought a new one months ago, but never threw that old one out. Seeing it next to her face makes my stomach twist like I ate glass. I scroll further and hit another picture from 2 months ago. She is wrapped in someone's arms, face pressed into a shoulder. His jawline appears just enough for me to know, not enough to deny. The caption says "my person" with 2 wine glasses and a lock. I close the app for a second because my hands start to cramp. I open it again because apparently I enjoy hurting myself thoroughly. I tap the photo and check the tags listed under it. Her handle and one other are visible, his is missing. I know that platform usually auto-tags faces unless someone removes them. He did not just hide me, he edited himself out of her life on purpose. That realization lands even harder than the messages from last night. Cheating is one kind of betrayal, scrubbing proof is a colder one. It means planning, not impulse, and that thought makes my skin crawl. I start checking her older posts, counting how often he is half visible. The more corners I study, the more pieces of him I find. I jump to his account and skim his recent uploads. Same time range, same weekends, completely different story. Pictures with friends, dumb memes, one generic shot from a game. No sign of any romantic night, no trace of that woman anywhere. It feels like looking at a stage ass. It not a real life. I flip back to her profile and open the comments under that picture. There is a reply from another woman with the same man's nickname. She writes, "You two are adorable," followed by matching emojis. The nickname hits me like a slap because that one used to feel private. Now it looks cheap, something he hands out like a party favor. I tap on her username and another world opens up. Different city tagged, same type of post, same bragging tone. Her timeline shows trips that fall on weekends he claimed overtime. There he is again, reflected in a bar window behind her. Different outfit, same watch, same way he bends his head when he laughs. At this point I know I should stop and breathe. Instead I grab a notebook from the drawer and start writing dates. I match her posts to my texts with him from those nights. Every "sorry, can't talk, busy" lines up with some celebration picture. It looks less like random cheating and more like a schedule. My phone buzzes on the table and makes me jump. His name flashes with a tiny heart next to it. "Made it to work, love you," the message reads, simple and warm. I stare at those words and feel my jaw clench painfully. He is probably standing near his desk, texting all of us at once. I type back, "Love you too," with fingers that barely move. I delete the first version where I wrote "do I though" and laugh once. Not a happy laugh, more like something cracks under pressure. Then I open his contact and scroll down to shared photos. Every picture feels like evidence, and I cannot unsee any of it now. The logical part of me tries to step in and organize. Maybe these women overlap online but not in real time. Maybe some of these posts are old, maybe his involvement is complicated. That little courtroom in my head fights hard for his benefit. But the timeline on the screen keeps contradicting every excuse I invent. I tap back to the second woman's profile and study her captions. She mentions going official 3 months ago with a smiley face. 3 months ago, he surprised me with a weekend away for us. The dates are almost identical, just different locations and companions. I feel my throat close, like my body is rejecting this entire puzzle. For the first time that morning, anger starts to outweigh shock. Up until then, I kept thinking maybe there was a misunderstanding. Now it looks deliberate, like a strategy, not a single bad choice. I catch myself grinding my teeth and force my jaw to relax. There is no version of this where I remain the naive girlfriend. One more detail pushes me over an invisible edge. On one of her recent posts, she thanks him by his full name. "Thanks for being the best man I know," she writes proudly. I whisper, "You really have no idea," at my screen before I realize. And that is when a new thought shows up, colder than the rest. If she does not know, maybe others do not know either. Maybe I am not the side person or the main one, just one of many. The idea makes my skin prickle like something crawls under it. I hover over the message button on her profile and hesitate. Pressing that button will change everything, for me and for her. I hit send before I can talk myself out of it. The message jumps into the chat box and sits there, tiny and brutal. "Hey, sorry for the random DM, I think we need to talk about someone." My thumb hovers over the screen again, itching to delete it. You know that moment when you want answers and escape at the same time. I watch the typing bubble appear, disappear, then pop back again. My whole body goes tight, like I am waiting for test results. She finally writes, "Do I know you?" with a confused little emoji. I stare at that stupid symbol and feel my jaw lock. If this goes badly, I turn into the crazy stranger in her inbox. "I'm not messing with you," I answer, fingers stumbling over the keys. We might be seeing the same guy. I attach one screenshot, cropped just above his name, just enough to show his words. The message where he calls someone baby and talks about missing her. I add, "Does this look familiar to you?" and hit send again. She goes silent for a full minute and my throat dries out. I check my connection twice like maybe the internet bilayed. Then a new line appears, "Where did you get that?" No question mark, just that flat demand. It feels colder than if she had cussed me out. I send another picture, this time a different chat bubble. Same nickname, same exact phrasing, different timestamp. From my phone I write, and my hand starts to tremble. If I'm wrong I will back off right away, I just need to know. That last part is a lie, I am not backing off from anything now. She answers with one word first, "Call." A number drops in right after and my stomach flips hard. I stare at it like it might explode if I touch it. Then I realize my heart is already in pieces and hit dial. It rings 3 times before a woman picks up. "Who is TH? Is..." Her voice sounds steady but tight, like she already suspects something. This is going to sound insane, I start pacing across the room. I think we're both involved with the same man. Saying it out loud makes everything feel sharper and more real. "What's his name?" No softness, just that direct line. I give it to her, and there is a crackle on the other end. She breathes out hard, not quite a sigh, not quite a gasp. "That's my boyfriend," she finally gets out, and my knees almost give. I press my hand against the table to stay upright. "How long have you been together?" "Almost a year," she answers, and something inside me slams shut. I can practically hear her counting months like I did yesterday. "That can't be right," I whisper, mostly to myself. She snaps back fast, "Why not?" "Because I moved in with him 6 months ago," I say slowly. There is a long stretch of dead air where we both do math. In that quiet space, my version of him starts to crumble. When she speaks again, her voice has a new edge. "Walk me through this," she says, and I hear tapping in the background. "When did you last see him?" "Last night," I answer, and my chest tightens all over again. I tell her the time he left, the excuse he used, the way he kissed my forehead. On the line, she lets out a bitter little laugh. "He texted me right after that," she mutters. "He told me he was driving home from a late shift." I pull my phone away and check the times, matching them side by side. The overlap hits like a slap, clear and exact. We are not dealing with a one-time slip, this is system-level behavior. She starts firing quick questions like she is interviewing me. "What nights does he say he works? Where does he claim he goes on weekends?" I give my answers and she checks them against her own schedule. Every answer lands wrong for one of us. "He told me he hates nights," she says abruptly. "Told me he could never handle overnight work, that's why he changed jobs." I swallow hard because I have heard the exact opposite speech. He talks about loving the peace of late hours, how they help him focus. Hearing our scripts clash like that makes my skin prickle. I ask, has he ever mentioned a girl with my name? "No," she snaps, then pauses. "He mentioned an ex who couldn't let go and kept calling." I feel my cheeks burn even though she cannot see me. I know exactly who he meant by that. We both go quiet again, processing in different corners of the same mess. Then she clears her throat. "I have screenshots too," she says, voice lower now. "He promised to introduce me to his friends next month, said he wanted things serious." I picture that same line dropped in my lap months earlier. I suggest we move this off the call before one of us drops the phone. "Can I add you somewhere with proof?" I ask. "Yeah," she answers, and I hear a chair scrape. "I want everything, I am done guessing." Her words sound like a match hitting dry ground. When the call ends, my hands still shake, but in a different way. This time it feels less like panic and more like fuel. I open a group chat window and stare at the empty field. There is his other contact from last night, the one with the laughing emoji. If I stop now, she stays in the dark alone. I copy the same first message, then change it halfway through. "Hey, I'm reaching out about someone we both know," I write. "I have some information, and I think you deserve to see it." I attach one image of my conversation with the first woman. Then I send it before I can water it down. Her reply comes almost immediately. "Is this a joke?" I send his full name and wait, watching the screen like it is live TV. Her next message is just, "What the hell?" followed by a string of angry faces. At least this one does not hide how she feels. "Can we talk for 5 minutes?" I ask. Group chat or call, your choice. There is a pause long enough for me to imagine her pacing too. Add me, she writes finally. He told me he was single for a long time. I drop both women into the same thread and hit create. For a second nothing happens, just 3 tiny icons at the top. Then messages start pouring in from both sides. They introduce themselves with short lines, then jump straight to dates and times. It feels like watching strangers assemble my relationship from broken pieces. We start throwing screenshots into the conversation like cards on a table. Trips, selfies, cropped photos, sweet texts with recycled lines. They circle certain phrases, point out repeated compliments, identical excuses. I recognize sentences he once used on me as proofs of some special bond. Now they look mass-produced. One of them uploads a picture from a hotel room. He is half visible in a mirror behind her, wearing a shirt I folded last week. My heartbeat spikes at the sight even though I knew it was coming. Under it she types, "This was 2 weekends ago," he said, "work conference." "Not." Her woman answers, "That was the weekend he told me his car broke down." We compare holidays next, which honestly hurts more than I expected. He spent one with me and my friends, smiling like he belonged there. Another with her family, holding their dog, playing the charming partner. He told each of us he hated crowds and needed quiet to recharge. Apparently he only needed quiet when he wanted room for new lies. As we line up his stories, a pattern starts to emerge. To one he calls himself a workaholic who avoids commitment. To another he plays the devoted partner trapped in a bad situation. With me he acts like the easygoing guy who goes with the flow. He crafts a different version of himself for each audience. "I thought he was just tired," one of them writes. "He always looked exhausted, I figured it was the commute." The first woman replies, "Yeah, he told me he couldn't sleep without me. I type before I can stop myself. He sleeps like a rock with me too, trust me on that part." There's a beat of silence after that line. Then we all start dropping small details, the little quirks we each thought were ours. The way he saves certain memes, the snack he pretends he never eats, the song he turns off halfway. Every overlap makes my stomach lurch in a new way. Not just because he lied, but because he recycled intimacy. At some point my phone feels hot in my hand from all the notifications. I set it down on the table and just watch it light up. The chat keeps rolling, 3 strangers connected by one person who is not even here. If he looked at us right now, he would see his whole act exposed. Instead, he is probably sending another "love you" to one of us. "Has anyone else messaged you about him before?" I ask the group. Both answer no right away. Then the second woman adds, "But I saw a like from another girl a lot." She drops a username we do not recognize yet. That is the moment I realize we might not be done collecting names. We search that handle together, all of us digging at once. Her public posts show comments from him, little inside jokes, shared emojis. He calls her trouble in one thread, same word he used for me once. No obvious couple photos, but the vibe feels familiar. Should we reach out to her too, someone asks. I stare at that question for a long second. Part of me wants to shut my laptop and crawl into bed. Another part wants every single lie dragged into the open. In the end, that second part wins with no real contest. "We should," I type, fingers steady for the first time all day. We start drafting a joint message, rewriting it until we all agree. No insults, no drama at first, just facts and screenshots if she wants them. It feels strangely organized, like we are forming a tiny committee. I never pictured myself teaming up with strangers over a shared boyfriend. Yet here I am, planning outreach like some grim project manager. Before we send anything, the first woman drops one last screenshot. It is from that morning, a "good morning beautiful" text from him. The timestamp sits there like a fresh bruise. "I woke up smiling at this," she writes, then adds, "Now I feel sick." I stare at it and feel something harden inside me. By the time we log off for a while, nothing about my life feels stable. I am not just dealing with a cheating partner anymore. I am part of a growing circle of people he misled and rearranged. We have proof we have each other, and we have one shared goal now. We just have to decide what to do with all of it next. I text him the invite while my hands still smell like dish soap. Dinner tomorrow, just us, my treat. I watch the little delivered pop up and feel my pulse hammer. In our group chat, the other women are waiting for my screenshot. I hit capture and drop it in before I can rethink anything. He'll show up, one of them writes. He never misses free food. I let out a short laugh that sounds wrong even to me. We start throwing suggestions for where to meet him. Every option comes with a risk none of us would have imagined a week earlier. We settle on a place he already likes, somewhere he will not suspect much. I book a table under my name and send the confirmation to the thread. We go in staggered, someone suggests. One every few minutes so he doesn't bolt at the door. I picture him walking in and my stomach lurches so hard I grip the counter. We argue for 10 minutes about how confrontational to be. One wants to dump evidence on the table and walk out. Another wants to hear his excuses straight from his mouth. I sit there chewing my lip while my phone buzzes nonstop. Finally I type, I need to see his face when this hits. Silence answers that sentence for a moment. Then a new bubble appears. Okay, the first woman writes. You start, we back you up if he dodges. I agree before fear has time to catch up. His reply comes later that evening while I pretend to do other things. Tomorrow. Our works can't stay too late, early day after. The casual tone almost knocks the air out of me. He adds a heart and a dumb inside joke that used to make me smile. In the group chat, 2 more screenshots appear at the same time. They got identical texts from him about busy tomorrow night. Different excuses, same timing. It is weirdly satisfying to drag them side by side on my screen. You see what I mean, I write. This is why we're doing it live. The next day drags and sprints at once. I move through work on autopilot, answering questions I barely hear. Every time my phone lights up, my chest tightens, expecting him or them. Little updates trickle in from the group. Outfits picked, rides arranged, phones fully charged. On my way home, I almost turned the car around twice. There is a version of my life where I let this stay secret. I could pack quietly, send him one long message, vanish. No scene, no public embarrassment, no shaky hands at some table. But that version leaves him free to repeat this whole circus with someone else. I shower, dress, and keep having to reapply deodorant because my body will not calm down. When I zip up my jeans, my fingers stumble. That is how on edge I am. I look at myself in the mirror and barely recognize the reflection. Not because of anything dramatic, just because my eyes look older. There is a hardness there that was not present a few days earlier. On the way out, I snap a picture of the reserved sign email. I drop it in the group chat with a simple, see you there. Heart reactions pop up from both of them, quick and sharp. There is no backing out without letting all of us down. That pressure holds me upright more than any motivational speech. I reach the restaurant 10 minutes early because I cannot stand waiting at home. The host leads me to the table by the window, just like we planned. I sit with my back to the door so my face will not give him away. My knee bounces under the table so hard it nudges the chair leg. I fold my hands around my phone and focus on breathing in counts. The first woman arrives 3 minutes later, right on cue. She walks up with her jaw set, shoulders tight, eyes locked on me. We have only seen each other in tiny profile pictures until now. Meeting in person feels like walking into a mirror that shows a different life. We hug briefly, more for stability than comfort. Ready? She asks, dropping into the seat beside me. Not even close, I answer, which makes her snort once. She pulls out her phone and opens our shared folder. A grid of screenshots glows between us like some horrible collage. We keep this in front of us, she says, tapping the screen. The second woman appears right after we stop talking. She hesitates a second at the edge of the table, searching our faces. When she recognizes me, her mouth tightens, then softens. You're taller than I imagined, she says, which makes me almost laugh. She sits across from us, so we form a kind of wall. For a few seconds we just stare at each other, 3 people linked by one name. It is awkward and weirdly intimate at the same time. No one orders drinks. We all keep glancing at the entrance, counting the seconds. I realize we are breathing in almost the same rhythm. Ground rules, I say because someone has to. No yelling over each other or he'll use that to spin this. Record audio, the woman next to me adds, already opening her voice app. Even if we never share it, I want a record. Across from us, the third one nods and taps her screen too. Last chance to change the plan, I throw out. If any of you want to handle him alone, say it now. They both shake their heads so quickly I almost smile. One crosses her arms over her chest like she is bracing for impact. The other picks at a napkin and whispers, "I've done alone with him enough." My phone lights up with a new text from him. "Parking now, be there in a minute." My throat dries instantly, and I push the phone into the middle. The others lean in and read it at the same time. We do not need words, we are all thinking the exact same thing. We turn all our screens face down right before he walks in. I feel him before I see him, the way you sense someone familiar. He gives his name to the host and starts scanning the room. His eyes land on me first, then flick to the two women at my table. For a fraction of a second, I watch his whole expression glitch. He forces a grin that looks more like a cramp. "Wow," he says, stopping beside the table, "this is unexpected." The pause before that last word stretches too long. No one moves to hug him. The silence between us is loud enough to draw a glance from the next table. "Sit down," I say, my voice steadier than I feel. He pulls out a chair slowly, like it might jump at him. His gaze bounces from one face to another, searching for an ally. I keep my hands flat on the table so he can see they are empty. Inside my chest, everything. G is vibrating. "Some kind of intervention?" he asks with a tight half laugh. The woman beside me tips her head. "Something like that," she answers, eyes never leaving his. He reaches for the menu, then stops mid-motion. He is finally picking up on the fact that no one else is eating. "I'm lost," he tries, raising his palms. "If this is a joke, I'm not getting it." The third woman leans forward, elbows on the table. "Yeah," she says calmly, "you are not getting it." Her stare could burn through concrete right then. I unlock my phone and bring up one of his chats. The one where he complains about juggling everything and calls himself loyal in the same breath. I slide it across the table until it rests in front of him. He glances down, then back up at me, face blank. "Okay," he mutters, "so you went through my phone." "That's what you see here?" I ask. "Not the part where you're promising 3 different lives." I tap the screen with one finger, right on his words. The other women place their phones next to mine like we are laying out evidence. 4 screens in a row, each with his name at the top. His composure cracks around the edges when he recognizes the different layouts. He picks up one phone, then another, almost dropping the second. "How did you even get these?" he asks, voice thinning out. "We talked," the woman beside me answers, folding her arms tighter. "Turns out you forgot to keep your stories separate online." He tries the first predictable route. I could have recited it for him. "You're taking things out of context." He points to one message, then another, like that will erase the timestamps. "That was a rough patch, I wasn't myself then." No one reacts, which seems to unsettle him more than if we had shouted. He shifts to option 2. "I was going to explain everything, I just needed the right moment." "When?" the third woman cuts in, voice still level. "Before or after you spent holidays with all of us separately." He flinches at that line, no joke left on his face. He drags a hand down over his mouth, searching for the next angle. "It's not what you think," he insists. I actually laugh at that, one sharp sound that makes him look up fast. "You do need to know what we think first," I say. "Right now you don't even know which lies we've already compared." One of them scrolls and places another screenshot in front of him. This one shows his promise to move in soon once things settle. "Who was this for?" she asks quietly. "Because you said the same thing to me, just with different dates." He stares at the screen like the words might rearrange if he waits. "Are you serious?" he finally asks her. "You're really teaming up with strangers to ambush me." Her jaw clenches and she leans back, hands on her knees. "Strangers didn't sleep in your bed for almost a year," she answers. The word bed lands between us like a dropped weight. He looks at me, then finally really looks. "You believe them over me?" he asks. That line used to work on me, I will admit it. "Believe what?" I answer, heat rising in my neck. "They brought your own words, I just brought the reservation." The air around the table gets tighter. He pushes his chair back a few inches, muscles coiled. For a second I think he is actually going to run. The idea that he might just bolt and leave us there almost makes me dizzy. Instead, he leans forward and lowers his voice. Okay, he says quietly, I messed up. That understatement hangs there, flimsy and useless. I was in a bad place, I didn't know how to end things. He gestures vaguely at the three of us like we are some messy habit. I didn't want to hurt anyone. News flash, the woman across from him replies, mission failed. Her hand shakes slightly where it rests near her glass. I can tell she is hanging on by threads, same as me. He notices and softens his tone, because of course he does. Look, we can figure this out, he says. We, I repeat, and the word tastes sour. You used we with all of us, that's the whole issue. I pull a folded paper from my bag and place it on the table. His eyes widen when he sees the outline of a lease copy through the fold. I already started figuring things out, I tell him. I do not spell everything out for him there. I do not list the boxes I packed or the spare key I dropped into an envelope. That will come later in a different room without an audience. Right now, this moment is not about logistics. It is about stripping away any illusion that he still controls the narrative. He looks from the paper to me, then back to the phones. For the first time since he arrived, he has no comeback ready. His mouth opens, closes, opens again. Nothing useful comes out, just a tiny exhale. Watching him search for a script and find none is the only part that feels even slightly satisfying. I shove the last box into my trunk and slam it shut. My phone vibrates in my back pocket, the same C. Cond. His name fills the screen with that heart I still have not removed. For a moment I just stand there in the parking lot, breathing too fast. Then I tap the call away and toss the phone onto the passenger seat. He started blowing up my phone the minute we left that restaurant. At first it was frantic apologies, long walls of text. Then it turned into blaming, accusing me of humiliating him. By morning he was sending voice notes about how I ruined everything. I watched each notification arrive without opening a single one. When I walked back into the apartment earlier, he was already pacing. He stopped mid-step when he saw the half-filled boxes. So that's it, he asked, hands lifted like I was overreacting. I bent to yank books off the shelf instead of answering. If I looked at his face for too long, I might fold. You're really doing this right now, he pushed, following me from room to room. You're not even going to talk it through. I dropped his spare hoodie onto the pile without folding it. That's all you did, I answered, talk it through with everyone. His jaw worked like he was chewing on a comeback that never arrived. He tried a softer tone then, the one that used to disarm me. I made mistakes, he said, stepping closer, palms open. I never wanted to lose you over them. I straightened up with a stack of clothes in my arms and met his eyes. You didn't lose me over mistakes, you lost me over a pattern. For a second he actually looked offended, like I had misjudged him. Those girls mean nothing, he insisted, which almost made me laugh. You moved in here, that has to count for something. I set the clothes in an open box and pushed the flaps down. Yeah, I said, it counts as proof you can lie with Elise too. He switched to anger so fast it almost gave me whiplash. You went through my private stuff, he snapped, voice rising. You ganged up on me with strangers, who even does that? I felt something inside me cool down instead of ignite. I checked my reality, I told him, because you kept rewriting it. He opened his mouth again, then glanced at my phone on the table. You're really talking to them still? He asked, disbelief all over his face. That's what you're worried about? I asked, actually stunned. Not the fact that there are at least 3 of us. He looked away first, and that told me everything I needed. I picked up my charger and coiled it slowly, just to keep my hands busy. You don't have to leave, he tried again, a little desperate now. We can work through this, we can set rules. I slid the cord into my bag and zipped it. I already have one rule, I said, I don't stay with people who multiply me. He did not like that answer, obviously. Fine, he muttered, shoulders sagging, run if that makes you feel strong. I walked past him with the first box, heart pounding but steps steady. This isn't about feeling strong, I said, not slowing down. This is about not volunteering for extra damage. That was the last full sentence I gave him in that place. He hovered while I carried out 2 more loads, throwing out half starts. Remember when we were supposed to Each attempt fizzled under the weight of the screenshots in my brain. Back in the parking lot, I finally climb into the car and lock the doors. My phone lights up again with another incoming call from him. I open the contact and stare at the screen for a long second. The little favorites star at the top looks ridiculous now. I tap remove from favorites first, then block caller, then exhale. It does not feel empowering if I am honest with you. It feels like dragging myself through wet cement while someone shouts behind me. But the silence after I hit block is the first quiet I have had in days. No more buzzing every 10 minutes, no more emotional boomerang. Just me, the car, and way too many thoughts. My group chat with the other women sits just below his old thread. I open it and type, "I'm out." Picture of the loaded trunk goes next, proof I actually did it. Responses appear almost instantly, stacked on top of each other. Little messages from people who only know my worst week but get it. "I told my family everything," one of them writes. "They're furious on my behalf, which helps more than I expected." Another says she moved his things into bags and left them by the door. "None of us handled it the same way, but the result matches. He does not get to keep any of us in backup mode." We talk for a while about practical stuff, which sounds boring but matters. Who needs to check for shared accounts, whose name is on what? One of them discovers he added himself as an emergency contact at her work. She posts a screenshot of the removal screen with a middle finger emoji. I laugh out loud in the car for the first time since this started. Then the conversation turns to the fourth woman, the almost ghost. The one whose username kept popping UP under all his posts. We had messaged her before the confrontation, got only a vague reply. Now she sends a longer paragraph finally. "I thought I was overreacting," she writes, "guess not." She tells us he kept her at arm's length but never fully let go. Late night messages, flirty comments, plans that never solidified. Just enough attention to keep her orbiting in case he needed a replacement. Reading that makes my stomach twist in a new way. It is like seeing the outer ring of a planet you barely mapped. We offer her the same proof he forced us to collect. Screenshots, timelines, overlapping events. She asks for a video call and we all pop in like some strange panel. Her face appears on my screen, tired and angry and relieved at once. "I thought I was crazy," she admits, and all of us nod. After that call ends, my friends start texting too because news travels. Someone he knows apparently saw us at the restaurant and connected dots. I get a message from an old college friend. "Girl, did you just expose a whole double life?" she asks. I stare at the sentence and realize, yeah, that is exactly what we did. Later that night, I sit on the floor of my new place. Half my boxes are open, none of my stuff feels settled. I have a cheap folding table, a mattress, and an exhausted brain. My laptop waits on the table like a dare. The group chat is quiet for the first time in hours. I open a browser and hover over a blank post window. You ever talk to yourself out loud just to hear the truth? That is how this feels. I type a title before I can talk myself out of it. "I found out my boyfriend was cheating on me with multiple women and telling them all a different story." My fingers move faster once the first line is down. I write about the notification on his phone, the strangers in my inbox, the dinner. I leave out names and locations but keep the actions sharp. No dramatic flourishes, no fake cliffhangers, just what happened and how it wrecked me. And how we refused to let him decide what counted as real. There are moments where my chest tightens and I have to pause. Like when I describe watching our messages line up in that group thread. Or when I talk about him looking at our screens at the restaurant. I tell you, remembering his face in that moment still hits hard. But I keep typing because stopping feels worse. I add one last paragraph that surprises even me a little. I write that I ignored small warning signs because they were inconvenient. That I let busy and tired cover more than they should. Not to blame myself, but to be honest about my part in staying. Because it would be easy to paint myself as perfect here, and I am not. When I finally hit post, my hands actually shake again. It feels too public, too raw, like walking outside without a coat. But within minutes, comments start appearing under the story. People sharing their own disasters, strangers telling me I am not crazy. Validation from usernames I will never meet feels weirdly stabilizing. One comment stands out that night and I keep coming back to it. Next time you see one red flag, treat it like three, it reads. I know that sounds dramatic, but it makes sense after all this. I reply, I learned that the hard way, and mean every word. Because the truth is, I will never look at small doubts the same again. Days later, when things calm down a bit, I scroll back through everything. The messages, the pictures, the group chat, the post. It feels like reading a stranger's life and recognizing every thought. I am not healed, I am not over it, I am just moving. Sometimes that is the only progress you get at first. If you are listening to this and any of it rings a bell, please hear me. You do not owe anyone the benefit of the doubt forever. You do not have to gather a courtroom worth of proof to walk away. You are allowed to leave because your gut will not shut up. I wish I had done it sooner, but at least I finally did it.